Yesterday, Simone Biles, the Olympic gymnast, the best of the best, bar none. There is no one else even remotely in her league in women's gymnastics. I guess in an attempt to be inclusive and virtuous, decided to sell out all women and girls who have dreams to achieve and to succeed, and to specifically personally attack and body shame me.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. And today we're gonna talk about this this feud, another feud. This feud is between Riley Gaines and Simone Biles, who are both obviously, well, not obviously, maybe you don't know, but they're very, very, very high-ranking female athletes. And Simone Biles went after Riley Gaines. And so let me bring up Riley for this. Actually, shocking. It's just shocking that Simone would actually do this to Riley, who's been champion for women's rights in sports for such a long time now. Doesn't make sense to me. But let me play you this video.
Yesterday, Simone Biles, the Olympic gymnast, the best of the best, bar none. There is no one else even remotely in her league in women's gymnastics. I guess in an attempt to be inclusive and virtuous, decided to sell out all women and girls who have dreams to achieve and to succeed, and to specifically personally attack and body shame me. She tweeted this out of the blue, like this came out of nowhere, and she said, "Riley, me, you're truly sick, all of this campaigning because you lost a race." First of all, if she's insinuating I lost to a man, I've lost several races in my career, duh, that's part of being an athlete. But if she's saying I lost to a man, that's factually incorrect. We tied, besides the point. Straight up sore loser. You should be uplifting the trans community and perhaps finding a way to make sports inclusive, or creating a new avenue where trans feel safe in sports.
Before it goes on, I just want to say this one thing here. Wow, really, Simone? Wow, out of nowhere, she just did this. Literally out of nowhere. She just came after Riley and supporting trans people. Now, before I finish with Riley here, that part that Simone just said, you should be uplifting trans voices, and well, first off, where you see what Riley says, but secondly, and you should be creating spaces for them to be able to compete in. Okay, so let me show you this. And all of these women actually are friends of mine. And this person here, this is my friend Sal Grover, who's also dealing with a bunch of nonsense in Australia and the whole same thing. And this is what she said in regards to this. She said, a trans category in swimming was created. None of the men claiming to be women entered it. And it actually is, there's a whole article on it, and I think it was I think it was Mail Online, or one of the papers from the UK maybe, that said it. I'll try to find it and put it here, but if I don't, you could just Google it and find it. But that being said, the title of that was Swimming World Cup category for transgender athletes canceled after no entries. No trans woman entered the whole thing that was specifically made for trans women. So it has been tried, but they don't want to compete with themselves. They want to compete against women. They don't want their own space. They want the women's space. It's so obvious and so clear. So, Simone should kind of maybe do a little research before she started trying to rip Riley a new one. Riley's been working very hard.
Let me get something straight. It's my job. It's the women's job. This is what Simone Biles is saying. It's the women's job to find a way for the men's feelings to be validated, for their identity to be affirmed. That's not my job, actually, at all. So to say I should be doing this is insane. If she wants to use her platform to uplift men and women's sports, then by all means. But it's certainly not my job, and I don't believe it's the job of any woman to do this. She goes on to say, but instead you bully them. One thing's for sure, no one in sports is safe with you around. I can't.
No one's bullying trans women. Are you insane, Simone? What? No one's bullying them. We're talking, I'm a transsexual, by the way, and I agree with Riley in all women's sports. No trans woman who's a male should be competing in women's sports. It is absurd and ridiculous. And now it's happening in younger generation, and young girls are losing their spots because a trans kid gets to go. And sorry, and then the thing that's so interesting to me is the trans community. There's only a handful of trans athletes. Right, you're right. There's only a handful. So why do they get to destroy all the space for women and girls? If there's only a handful, then let's just put them over here and they'll figure it out, okay? But the more we let them go into women's sports and girls' sports, more and more are going to come out and more are going to dominate the field. So, Simone, if by chance you're watching this, Riley works hard to make Riley's not anti-trans in any way, shape, or form. Riley is speaking facts, okay? And it is so absurd to me that another woman would say that to another woman. Like literally throwing another woman under the bus. Something happened. I think Simone got a trans woman friend somewhere and was putting that in her ear somewhere, right? It's just the most absurd thing out of left field this came. So stand your ground, Riley. I know you will. You're just that person. Me too. I will not back down with the trans woman in sports nonsense. So this other friend of mine who started a clothing line called XXXY, Jennifer Say, I think it's Jennifer. Sorry if I got it wrong, but it's something like that. I even went to lunch with her and hung out with her. But anyway, she started the clothing line XXXY, okay? So listen to what she has to say.
So, Simone Biles decided to go to war with Riley Gaines on X yesterday. I'm not sure why she doesn't tweet much, but she did. What did she say? Well, she went on a tear. She called Riley sick for advocating for the protection of women's sports, and then Simone goes on to say that Riley should be advocating for a third category for trans people so they can feel safe in sports. Simone, just know, women are not responsible for making men feel safe in women's sports. Women are not responsible for validating male identities, especially not the ones who think they are women. Those men can compete in men's like all the other men. You know, there's a reason why men's gymnastics events are different than women's, right? There's rings, there's pommel horse, because men have greater upper body strength. They are stronger. That's why there's separate categories. Then Simone.
This is what they always use this argument in the trans activist space. That's why little kids need puberty blockers so that they won't have upper body. Yeah, but then they're going to have a hell of a lot of other physical and mental problems where they won't even be able to compete because their bones are breaking and they can't function right and they're all like all over the place. So it's there's no argument here. You cannot argue this factual situation. It's just ridiculous.
Then Simone goes on to body shame Riley, which is really a low point. Nice supportive women, Simone. Riley is a perfectly normal sized woman at about 5'5". Yes, she is short for a swimmer, at least for an actual female swimmer, unlike Will Thomas, a man who is well over 6 feet tall. Look, I was a gymnast, not a bad one, not a great one. I was a 7-time national team member and the 86 national champion. No candle to your achievements. Certainly, you are the GOAT. There is no doubt about that. I was the first elite gymnast to speak out about abuse in the sport way before it was safe back in 2008, and the entire community turned on me. So I am grateful for your voice on this matter. And I've heard Riley defend you over and over as the GOAT when others have torn you down, despite the fact that you don't have the same politics, because Riley is an honest broker and a good person. I have defended you time and again for bailing at the Olympics, and you know why? Because I felt it was a bookend to Carrie Stroud competing on a serious injury in '96, and I felt it was important that female athletes take control of their own bodies for their own safety. I've had the twisties. I know what it's like, but you know what? You are no hero. You are pulling up the ladder for the female athletes.
That somebody of her stature, of Simone's stature in athletics, and all these little girls look up to her, would say something so out of left field like this. It just, something's not right about it. I'm telling you, I just feel it's so bizarre for her as such a high-ranking. And I went to the comments on X of this thing. People were tearing her apart left and right. Oh my God, she must be. On some level, I think she's might be. I hope she is regretting what she posted.
Came after you. And since you made it personal and nasty with Riley, I am going to say it. Why didn't you stand up for Rachel Den Hollander and Jamie Dancher when they first spoke up about Nassar? They got torn to shreds. They were demonized as liars and grifters, and you said nothing. You waited. You waited until it was safe. You didn't say anything publicly until after Nassar was sentenced. You let hundreds of girls twist in the wind. Look, I don't think anyone has to.
Oh, oh, she just got moted. You know, whole that story. I should do a whole story on that because it's just so insane of the coach that was totally doing all that stuff. And then the girls kept, of course, when you're the first ones to attack your own community and say this is like thing, you get nailed. You all know that. You watch me get nailed and Blair and people who speak outside of the community nonsense are not afraid to tell the truth, right? So, you know, and then Simone eventually came out, but all these girls were coming out and talking about this stuff, and Simone never said anything.
I think anyone has to come forward about abuse until they are ready. But if you're going to tear my friend Riley down for standing up for women, for their right to compete safely, then I am going to raise it. You let those women get torn apart, those other gymnasts. You could have stopped the bullying instantly with your credibility as a world champion and Olympian. But you didn't do it. You let those women get destroyed. So you may be the GOAT as a gymnast, but you are no hero, not to me.
Oh, and there it is, friends. And there it is. They're all coming after Simone. I personally think it's disgusting that she publicly posted that. If she had an issue with with Riley, she should have just maybe wrote her a personal note or said something. This is why I hate the effing internet, man. You know, the divide is happening on so many levels, on so many spaces. So I just would literally like to just kind of direct this question to Simone. What was your purpose in doing that? Why would you do that? I don't really understand, because you clearly don't understand women's sports then, or you don't understand trans women. Trans women are males who have a very large they have a bigger and more stronger space than women, or when and women would have been competing all along. It's just, you can't be that ignorant about this. You can't be. There's something else going on there, that somebody put some nonsense into your ear, and now you attack somebody who's done a huge amount of work to save women's sports. And it's quite sad for me as a transsexual who was also in sports, nowhere near all of your rankings. But I loved sports as a young female, and it really did wonders for me in team sport and track and field and all of it. And, you know, just to see this kind of stuff happen, it's a shame, because young girls aren't going to miss out. And I'm sorry, if there's a young trans kid out there, you just might have to miss out on that. Sorry, no one's stopping you from competing. You're just going to have to compete in your sex. And it's always about the trans girls or trans women, never about trans boys or trans men. Keep that in your mind. Honestly, keep it there, because it's a fact. And this is why this is all about the strength difference between men and women. Okay, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you guys so much. Please like, subscribe. Get people to subscribe to my channel, please. It really is important for the growth of this channel, and I appreciate you all so very much for really sticking with me and helping me. I can't do these videos without you, so thank you for helping me to build this channel. Have a great rest of your day.